thanks again for tuning in to another little segment in this buying process series. I appreciate you checking it out, and hopefully you're gaining some good knowledge that you can use in your home search, maybe some tips and tricks and things like that, just overall know-how. So again, thank you for tuning in. This one's going to be a short one, so we're going to be talking about kind of out-of-pocket expenses. So if you've seen the prior videos concerning closing costs and things like that, that's basically due at the end of the transaction. So once you get to closing, there'll be this big statement and it'll show all the charges and what you'll need to bring to closing. So what do you need from the time that you sign the purchase agreement to closing to pay out of pocket? So there's three basic ones. And if you look on, if you've been sent this already, it's the timeline. These are highlighted in red, so you know at what point kind of these are due. The first one is earnest money. So what is your earnest money deposit? We've talked about that already. And then inspections. I would say normally the inspector wants to be paid up front for his work. There are a few out there, and you're just going to have to ask. I don't know the ones that provide this service or not, to where they will hold like a credit card, or maybe they'll hold a check and not cash it, because if we get to submit their bill on your behalf to the closing, you could possibly use your seller's concessions to pay them at closing. Possibly. So there's a lot of factors in that statement I just had there. First of all, you're going to have to find an inspector that's willing to do that. Some of them have been burnt enough to where they perform the inspection and for whatever reason the transaction doesn't close and they didn't get paid. That's no good. They did the job. They need paid. Some of them have had that experience before, and so they don't do it anymore. Some still offer it, and like I said, if we can get their invoice submitted to the title agent at closing, we can pay them. But they're basically agreeing not to get paid for their services for nearly 30 days or so. So that's why it's kind of going out of fashion. I don't know a ton that do it. But when you're shopping for your inspector, be sure to ask. And then kind of the final one before closing is the appraisal. Most of the time that is wrapped into your closing cost, but again, once the appraiser is out there, his fee is due, and so your lender may again keep a credit card or a debit card on file. So if for whatever reason the transaction doesn't close, they are still going to collect that from you to pay that appraiser. So the appraiser doesn't work directly for the bank. They're not a bank employee, and so they're basically kind of like a subcontractor, and so the bank will collect that to pay them, because I believe the bank pays them as soon as they go out there. So the bank's basically recouping their cost if for some reason you do not close. Okay, so those are the three things that you may have to spend throughout the transaction, kind of out of pocket. And then of course at closing, that's when everything comes together. And then if you owe for a down payment or your closing cost, that's when the bulk of the money is due at that point. So that's it, short and sweet. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.